And my first guest this morning is the beautiful Cathy Nesbitt, and we're going to be discussing laughter is the best medicine. And let me just tell you a little bit about Cathy while she's just sitting there looking absolutely gorgeous. And Cathy is all the way from Canada. She's a wellness advocate. She's the founder of Cathy's Crawly Composters, which was established in 2002. Cathy Sprouters and Cathy's Laughter Club. She is a multi-award-winning environmental innovator who uses workshops and inspirational speaking to motivate people to live a more sustainable life. Cathy is a certified laughter yoga teacher. She is an appointed laughter ambassador in 2017 by Dr. Madan Kataria. She is the founder of Laughter Yoga. Cathy is an avid cyclist and a gardener. You can find her on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Welcome, Cathy. My very great pleasure to welcome you to the Online Global Summit for 2023.
Oh, Rose, I'm so excited to be returning to talk about my passion for laughing.
Yeah, I love it. I've been watching your journey now for a couple of years, and your laughter yoga is beyond, it's lovely. It's such a way to get out there and feel good and make others feel good. And it's obviously a passion for you because you're always smiling every time I talk to you.
It's fake. No, it is, I've been laughing. I was introduced to laughter yoga in 2012. And so I've been laughing since 2012, really laughing since 2020. And we know what happened, right? We shut down.
Yeah.
And right, not funny. But laughter helps us to become more resilient, to manage our stress better, to just be more open to solution. Because when we're stressed, we're not breathing properly. And so our body's not getting what it needs. For sure, our brain isn't. And we can't come up with solution when our brain is shut off from oxygen.
Absolutely, yeah. And so how did you get into, well, firstly, let's talk about your worm farm, because I absolutely love the concept and how it started.
Thank you. Yes, it's the 21st anniversary of Cathy's Crawly Composters. You know, and whenever I say that, I just think, wow, where did 20 years go? How did that happen? Selling worms by the pound. It's really a ridiculous business model. But I believe when you're on purpose, meaning that I don't have repeat customers. And so I'm always, prospecting, I guess, which I guess all entrepreneurs are, always looking for the next sale. Yeah, so it's a solution for our wet waste, our food waste, and our organic matter. And this worm composting is done inside, so it's a solution for anywhere. If you have a cottage and there may be bears or mountain lions or coyotes or something that you don't want to attract to your backyard, it's a solution. If you live in the city in a condo and you don't have backyard space, this is a great solution. It's indoors. So it's a beautiful thing. Just the challenge is the worms. Not even wants worms in the house.
Oh, yeah, but they naturally clean creatures, really, aren't they?
Yeah, I believe that they're going to play an ever-increasing role in waste management, soil production, and therefore food security. So it's essential that we learn how. We may be freaked out about worms. I have a psychology degree, so I'm fascinated by people. And I've been meeting so many people as adults who were traumatized as children, but in the schoolyard or after a rainy day by a sibling or someone in the schoolyard chasing them with a worm. And if you were traumatized as a child, you're not looking at that thing that you were traumatized by as a solution to have in your house. It's kind of counterintuitive. Yeah. So 2012, one more person said to me, ew, worms in the house. And I heard it. Before that, I was just like, no, this is important. We need this. So I barreled ahead, not really understanding my client, not really understanding that people were freaked out by what I was selling. And so I really was about to doff my worm mission. I thought, if I just get a job, it's got to be much easier. Why do I care so much? Why doesn't anybody else? Why am I alone here in this worm journey? And then I was introduced, the universe is such a fascinating place, and a real trickster, I think. So it waited until I was about to doff my mission before introducing me to laughter yoga. And so the very next day, when I said, okay, I gave it, a good try. I was working at this for 10 years. I did my best. And I think it's really fascinating. I could have given up at that time and said, I did what I could. I stayed in business 10 years. Some business don't last more than a year or two. So I did good. However, I think that we're a work in progress. We're always on our journey. So sometimes there's a boulder in the way and we can throw our hands up at that point and go, no, that boulder's too big. I can't get around that one, which I could have done in 2012, but I persevered. I was introduced to laughter yoga and I was like, oh, what's that? I loved it so much. I got trained as a laughter leader. I loved that so much. I got trained as a teacher. I became an ambassador in 2017. So I've been laughing since 2012. Laughter yoga saved my worm business and it saved my life. I mean, not that I was suicidal or anything, just that it has enhanced my life so much, Rose. And it's a practice. You would never just take one dose of your medication and say, oh, I'm cured now, I'm done. Same with laughter. You need to get your daily dose. And dose is a beautiful acronym for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, the love drugs, versus cortisol and adrenaline. We literally get to be in charge of our own pharma when we're laughing or when we're stressed. Whatever we do, we're in charge.
So how does one do laughter yoga? What is the criteria? Is it, it's obviously not an exercise as such, but the traditional, yoga where you bend yourself into a pretzel, but
no, you don't have to get bent. Yes, I say it, I jokingly say it's not about fancy pants or poses. Although yoga's fine, I'm sure. This is laughing as an exercise. So you said it's not an exercise. It kind of is, because we're working our abs. It's a cardiovascular workout. 10 to 15 minutes of sustained belly laughter, like that hearty ha 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 ha, is equivalent to, all kinds of equivalents, like 30 minutes on a rowing machine or, a certain amount of sit-ups. It's just that it's a lot of fun. It's contagious in a great way. Where when we're laughing, we hear somebody laughing and then we were like, oh, what are they laughing at? And we want to know what the joke is or what's funny. So laughter yoga is not about jokes or comedy. It's laughing, intentional laughter exercises. And it is the 28th anniversary of laughter yoga, started in 1995, March 13th, 1995 in India by a medical doctor, Dr. Madan Kataria. And his goal is world peace. Oh, what an incredible mission. I just think, wow, that is incredible. So now this movement, it is a movement. It's in about 120 countries, laughter around the world. And I truly believe that laughter yoga was started in 1995 so that all these laughter yogis could be trained around the world so that we could be ready for 2020, because we're needed. We have this, right? We have this global mental health tsunami. I mean, everybody's really in this because we've all been isolated. And how do you torture people? You isolate them, keep them apart. Even when you're in prison, you don't want to be alone. Like solitary confinement. No, nobody wants that. So we are all struggling, even those that have, a whole toolbox of solutions for getting out of stress.
Yeah, so I guess other than the cardiovascular part of it, what other benefits are there to laughter yoga?
Oh, thank you. Great question. So many benefits. First of all, we're connecting. When we're laughing with people, we're connecting. We're totally present. So we're not thinking about yesterday or tomorrow. We're totally present. We're not even thinking at all. Laughter is not even a survival mechanism, because if you're laughing full on, You can only laugh full on when you're safe, because your knees go weak. If you're laughing with your friends, and you're totally present, your knees get weak. And so imagine if you're out in the wild, prehistoric days, you'd be gobbled up by the saber-toothed tiger. Right? So that's the beautiful part. It connects us. It opens up our beautiful brain, so we can come up with better solution. When we're stressed, we're not breathing, right? Our body's not what it needs. For sure, our brain isn't. And our brain is the answering machine. When we go into stress, blood, lymph, oxygen leaves our brain, so that all of that fluid goes into our muscles so we can escape. The limbic system and the amygdala, the stress center of the brain, really has not evolved. So when we go into stress, our body thinks we're in imminent danger, and we're not always. We might be sometimes, but if you just miss the bus, it's a nuisance, it's inconvenient, but not life threatening. The next bus is coming along.
I guess, despite, with all the release of all the dose of chemicals and, things in our brains, how other physically, mentally, laughter is wonderful, but physically, how can it be of benefit?
Yes, beautiful. So when we're laughing, back to the oxygen. So we're exhaling. We have to take a nice deep breath if we want to continue laughing. First of all, so our diaphragm is attached to all of our organs. So it's like internal jogging. I have rock hard abs from laughing, because I laugh every day as an intentional part of my health plan. My self-care package includes laughter on a daily basis. And I have a laughter buddy. I laugh every morning. A friend calls me on the phone and we laugh 2 minutes on, full on, just laughing, no talking. We breathe deep for 1 minute and then we laugh for 2 additional minutes. And that's first thing in the morning, and that sets our day on such a positive note. We know if we get up in the morning and we stub our toe and then we swear and we're in a bad way, and then, we're late, or, we get up late and we're running late and we're kind of trying to catch up all day long, a series of things happen. The universe is like, oh, really? You want to have that kind of day? And so, things get thrown in. So I'm suggesting that when something happens, instead of going into that stress state where you start spiraling down, spiral up instead. It's up to us. We get to decide which way we go. And ever noticed that if you smile at somebody, they smile back?
Absolutely, yes.
Right? Those are mirror neurons. Ever notice that when you see somebody sad, somebody crying, that you feel sad too? Mirror neurons. So if we want to be happy and we want to live a more joy-filled life, we need to surround ourselves with people that are living the life that we want to live, so that we see what they're seeing and feel what they're feeling. And then we're in it too. If you live with somebody grumpy, you're probably going to be grumpy too.
Yeah, I've got one of those at home.
Sorry.
Laugh, it's funny.
So what it does for our body, we have trillions of cells in our body. The oxygen, I think, is the main reason. We can live without food and water for a few days. We can only live without oxygen for a few minutes. And so laughter forces us to breathe deep, to breathe like really deep and oxygenate our vessel. The love drugs. There's so many wonderful things. Another piece in our body is our lymphatic system. I recently learned that we have 3 times the amount of lymphatic fluid in our body as blood. We have a heart to pump our blood. We don't have a pump for our lymphatic fluid. And it's a one-way system, unlike our cardiovascular system, which is 2-way. It's got the pump, so it's pumping up to the lungs and down to the heart. It's kind of like the figure 8 or the infinity sign, where it's going, it's feeding, it's taking, it's going back and forth. With the lymphatic system, it only goes in one direction, and there's no pump, and it only moves when we move. People often get because we're sitting so often, maybe we'll get swollen ankles or swollen legs. Or if you're swollen anywhere, that means the lymph is not flowing properly. There's a block there. So in my laughter club, I include with my laughter yoga. You asked me how it works. I will talk about how laughter yoga works. As a laughter yoga teacher, I incorporate all kinds of healing modalities: tapping, EFT, emotional freedom technique, brain gym, qigong, all kinds of energy modalities, just to help people get out of stress and into joy. Because when we're in stress, that's where we are. We're not healing, we're not digesting, we're in stress, we're in fight, flight, or freeze. We're not in rest and digest. So I do, in my club, I do a lymphatic massage often. And that's, rubbing and tapping on a few different spots in the body, the lymph nodes, which is where, all these wonderful chemicals are created. And so it is keeping our body tuned. Like, we would never put sugar in our gas tank, but somehow we really mistreat this beautiful machine that we have. And it's such a beautiful machine that it can go for years being abused. Junk food and maybe alcohol, maybe you smoke, or what, you're not sleeping enough, all of these things. Our body keeps going and we think, oh no, I'm fine. And then all of a sudden, oh man, I'm tired. Oh, I'm not digesting. I'm constipated, or the opposite. I have diarrhea, right? Like our system isn't working. So I think by really taking the time to invest in self-care, it's going to help our business. It's going to help our life, our relationships, because when we feel good, we do good.
Yeah, I agree. I was totally stressed out this morning. As I was talking to you before we came onto camera, and and then just a bit of laughter because to not laugh with you is like sinful, I reckon.
Right, and people watching join in.
Absolutely, yeah, and it did make me feel better, and my stress level went right down because I had those good feel good hormones get released, and I thought, well, there's no good stressing because it's something that's out of my control, and it's just, and laugh it off. It's really is a lot better than sitting there and sulking and being miserable. When you can't do anything about the situation except just get through it.
Right. And as we're laughing, we're secreting those drugs. Those love drugs are like our morphine. They are our natural painkiller. Stronger than morphine, they say. I don't know. I wanted to talk about a little bit about so laughter yoga. I'll just talk about how it works. It's really there. It's not jokes or comedy, because jokes are cultural. Two people go into a bar. It's not funny for those two people, probably. So it's not about anybody. It's just laughing for the health of it, acting like a child, just being playful and just being light and fluffy. There are little games to inspire the laughter. There's clapping and chanting, and then deep breathing. And then you end with a beautiful laughter meditation. But, laughter yoga, so it started in 95. The laughter movement really started way before that. There was people, just like any movement, there's people who set up, the pioneers who set up the kind of the framework. So some of the early pioneers in laughter were Norman Cousins. He wrote a book. He was a doctor, and he wrote a book called The Anatomy of an Illness. He was diagnosed, I can't remember what his illness was, but they said, get your papers in order, like get your affairs in order. The end is close. And he wasn't ready. So he thought, well, I wonder if I just laugh. So he didn't know about laughter yoga. It wasn't here yet. So he started watching comedies. And he ended up locking himself in a hotel room and just watching comedy after comedy. And he discovered that if he laughed for 10 to 15 minutes full on, he got about 2 hours of pain-free sleep. That's huge when you're suffering. Dr. William Fry is considered the doctor of gerontology, which is the study of laughter. And there was another doctor, Otto Berg, he won a Nobel Peace Prize for his work on oxygen in the body. So kind of all related to building us up to laughter is the best medicine. So Dr. Kataria in 1995 was writing an article for a science journal about laughter. And as he was doing his research, he came across all of these studies that showed, well, laughter is the best medicine. And he thought, if laughter is the best medicine, why don't we just laugh? And he took to a park in India with his wife and ended up recruiting 3 other people. So 5 people were the original laughter club in India. And they were telling jokes. They didn't know about having games and stuff. So they were telling jokes. By the end of every day they would meet. And by the end of 2 weeks, there was about 50 people gathering every day. And then the jokes started to become off color, like about people or, you know, sexy jokes or whatever. And people said, no, we don't like this. So he said, come back tomorrow. And he got an inspired thought that night that said, hey, why don't we just do little games? So there is just little games, and it's music and it's dancing, and it's just whatever we can do to get into our body and out of our head, because our body doesn't know the difference between real and simulated laughter. Our brain knows. The ego wants to keep us safe. The brain's job is to conserve energy and to keep us safe. Just like when you go to a family function and you get triggered by a sibling, because your brain knows what to do. It's like, oh, here we are, we're in this situation. Your brother, sister, your sibling will say that thing that triggers you, and then you get triggered, and there you go. Then you're off to the party. You know, you're in the emotions. I can't remember why I said that. Oh, so the brain. Yeah, so the brain knows what to do. So what we want to do is hijack the brain. When you go to the first time at a laughter club, it may be odd. If somebody has never been to a laughter club, plan to go twice. The first time it might be like, this is weird. What's happening? Why am I laughing for nothing? And your body's like, pew, 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 all the love drugs secreting, and you feel great. The first time I went to a laughter club was with my mother-in-law. And we were looking at each other. It was so weird. We were just like, this is so odd. We were doing it, but it was like, okay, this is strange. When we left, we were walking back to her apartment, and I was like, that was really odd. But I feel great. How do you feel? And we just like, we felt really like, it was like, I feel so good. And we slept great that night. And we made it our monthly date night. So we would go out for dinner, and then we go to laughter club. And sadly, because not enough people knew about it, this was in a place in Toronto, like a very high, densely populated section of Toronto. And I was sad when the club closed, because I said, wow, look at, there's like 10 or 20,000 people that live at this corner. They just don't know that this wonderful fun club is right here. So she closed her club, and that's when I said, I got to get trained. More people need to know about this. And if we are going to have world peace, we need everybody laughing, because when we're laughing, we're higher vibration. And not that we're over anybody else. We're not better than anyone else. We're just, we're just waiting, or we're raising our vibration. So when we raise our vibration, other people raise their vibration too. You can't, it's like being on the same channel. So then you all get lifted up. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, I have watched, you do online laughter yoga, don't you?
I do. Yes, I have a Tuesday club. Every Tuesday. It's probably not a good time for Australia, but it's 9:30 a.m. Eastern every Tuesday, 30 minutes on Zoom.
And I've noticed you have one on a Friday. Is that a personal one? Is that where you go in and do it in person?
Friday is a video series. It's called a Fun Fab Friday. Yes, I was doing an in-person with a special needs group on Fridays. That ended at the end of December, sadly. After a year and a half, it was such a beautiful program. Oh, so beautiful. But I do have a Fun Fab Friday video series. I do love alliteration, can you tell? And so we just launched, I think we just came out with episode 94 weeks in a row. Can you imagine?
Wow.
And that is, I know, that's part of the Peace, Passion, Prosperity Project on Facebook. I was asked if I wanted to have a day to do something. And I thought that's how Fabulous Fun Friday was born. And it's my husband and I, and we have such fun making those. We travel around to different locations. We do these random things. I'm just the talking head. I feel like my husband does all the work because he's the editor. He puts the special effects in, and we really have a wonderful time doing them. Thank you for asking about that.
Oh, my pleasure. And as I said, I've been following your journey since we met, I don't know, about 2 years ago. And you know, you always have something going on, and you know, to do with laughter. And I don't see a lot about your wins, but I see a lot about the laughter yoga, and it's something I think that everyone should practice every day. We often forget that laughter really is the best medicine. It's a saying that's been around for years and years and years, but we don't practice it enough, I don't think.
And it's complementary medicine. You don't have to worry about, counterindications with your medications. You don't have to worry about anything. Just laugh. As far as I know, nobody has ever OD'd from laughter.
No, I don't think. And, you know, some people, you start laughing in the middle of the street for no reason. But laughter is surprisingly contagious. If one person starts to laugh, other people start laughing because they want to know what you're laughing at. They don't necessarily ask, but they will start to laugh. And before you know it, you've got a whole tribe full of people just laughing for no reason.
Right. It's so fun. It's so beautiful. And, as soon as we start smiling, we send a note to our brain, hey, I must be happy. So we start secreting the love drugs just by a simple smile. So we really can trick our brain because it's only a part of it, right? The conscious brain is whatever, like an iceberg, 10% or something. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but I feel like I use much more than 10% of my brain.
Yeah, me too.
It's probably all that laughter.
It could be. Yes. And so, Cathy, did you write a book? Did I know that you've written a book, or you have a podcast or something?
I have been guest podcasting since 2020, and I have just reached over 200 episodes.
That's amazing.
I know. Wow. Traveling around the world by podcast. And, one question that I ask every host now is, have you heard that laughter is the best medicine? And I haven't met one person around the world that so far that has not heard that expression. It's so we must have known at one time. We've just forgotten.
Mm.
It's not something that it's not something that is prescribed, but it ought to be.
It ought to be. Yes, I agree. Yes.
And about the worms, I really want people to care about the planet. But, when you're having a mental crisis, you can't care about anything. So I'm really being called right now. Corporations, we're going back into the office, back into the factories, back working in person, and we don't know what to do. We've forgotten like the civil decorum or whatever, how to function, how to make eye contact, how to hold the door for somebody because we haven't had to do it, So the laughter really helps in corporations with team building, creativity, just camaraderie, just so boosting our immune system. You asked how it helps us. It boosts our immunity. It truly does, because we just become more resilient against the stress. The stress is the killer because we get all in our head. And then the more we're in our head, ruminating around with all those thoughts about how we're not good enough and all the things that, that voice in your head, that's not you. You're the observer watching, listening to that. I don't know why we're created this way, that we question everything in our head.
Yes, I don't know. It can be a curse sometimes, I think. Cathy, where can people find you if they want to learn more about laughter yoga? And, do you have branches in Australia yet?
Oh, I love that. Not yet, but I'm working on it. I would love people to come to my laughter page. It's cathysclub.com, Cathy with a C. and everything's there. Fun Fab Friday is there, my free club. I do training if anybody wants to get trained. I'll even work with Australian hours.
Oh,
It's a 2-day training. It's online and it's so much fun. And the reason somebody would want to become a laughter yoga leader, yes, you can get paid gigs to lead Laughter Club. That's fine. But the real main reason is so that you can learn this magic medicine for yourself. Once you learn laughter, you become laughter, and then you are laughter. And then just your whole life it's magic. I feel like I'm on a magic carpet ride because I'm vibrating at a much higher rate than I used to. And when stressful things happen, I'm human, things do, I'm able to get out of that stressful state much more faster, much quicker than before.
yeah, absolutely. And I think, if we all laughed more, I think the world would be a heaps better place to be.
World peace is possible if we're laughing together. When we're laughing, we don't want to hurt each other. We're just like connected. We're like, oh, ha, 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 ha. Oh my gosh, how can I help you?
Yes, absolutely. Cathy's offering a meeting register link for our viewers today. So if you're part of the Facebook group, then take advantage of Cathy's meeting link and register for that. And I'm sure you will gain a lot of benefit from being part of her group. To be honest, I think it's got to be something that's, yeah, benefit your mind and your body and your spirit and your soul.
Yes, all of it. I love that.
Write it down. Say, Rose said.
Oh, I love it. Talking with the experts. Yoop.
That's it. Absolutely. You are one of my favorite people, as you know. So I thank you so much for joining me. If you were to share some wisdom, Cathy, what would you share?
I would say for people to live their own path. We need to stop comparing to the other people, like, oh, they have this or that. You probably don't even want that, but you just want it because they have it. I really would love for people to go within, just be quiet for a little bit. Meditation, I know it sounds like a scary thing if it's new, but when we quiet our mind, then we can hear what it is that we really want.
Yeah, I agree. If you have a quiet mind, you can't help but listen to what's happening around you, and you pay more attention. If you're present, you can pay more attention to what's happening around you and to the people around you as well, rather than ignoring them and just getting on with your day and then being totally stressed out. And remember to find time to laugh.
Right. When you're laughing, you're not in stress.
Absolutely. Cathy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have once again been regaled by your presence.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye for
Thank
now.
you, Roz. Bye.